steadily the best. Ah.
With the hike in fuel price, a lot of Nigerians are still feeling the heat. And interestingly, it's not just here in Nigeria, it's also happening globally as the Middle East crisis still persists. Top of the morning to you. Welcome on board. This is This Morning on ITV. I am Anuoluwapo Stevens, right here in Edo State, Nigeria. And I have my colleague sitting here with me, Harry. Good morning, Harry. Good to see you as always.
Good morning. I know it's good to see you as well. And of course, it's always a pleasure to be here doing what we love to do best.
It seems the fuel hike situation is affecting you deeply, cars. I mean, how's it been like so far, so good?
Well, first off, I wonder where you got that impression from.
But I just feel I'm just asking.
Well, it's affecting everyone, including you as well.
No, it's not affecting me. Amen. Okay. You know how we get to pray about everything.
Like the typical Nigerian
it's not affecting me in Jesus' name, amen.
I totally get it, but you see, beyond, just confessing faith and talking positive, right? The reality stares us right in the face. It's not something that we can shy away from. The average Nigerian is literally groaning under the impact of the fuel hike, and of course, nobody's finding it funny. Okay, especially the common man out there in the streets. Okay, so it is indeed a major problem that needs
urgent attention.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought you were going to say it is what it is, but interestingly, the federal government has actually brought in a bit of solution. Hopefully that would help. I don't know if we have our colleagues in Lagos and Abuja. We'll join them soonest once we have them on board, but a lot of things to talk about. Okay, so we have our colleagues right there in Lagos, Nigeria. Good morning, Patricia. How are you? Tell me, is the fuel situation affecting you at all? Patricia, if you can hear me, please go ahead. Okay, so whilst we're still trying to regain connectivity with Patricia, let's talk about the interesting solution we saw on the front page of the news yesterday as the Nigerian government under the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has ordered the nationwide deployment of about 100,000 CNG, that's compressed natural gas conversion kits, to reduce the impact of the rising petrol prices on citizens. Now, how will this impact? Will this have any effect? Is this the lasting solution to the petrol hike? Because don't get it twisted, this is not the first time we're experiencing something like this, and hopefully it gets to be the last time. But how can we have an impacting solution to all of this? Do you think this is the way forward, Harry? What do you make out of this? And what was that first impression you got when you heard the news?
Well, just like I'm sure a lot of persons out there, would say, this looks like an urgent intervention, given the fact that the fuel price hike is becoming a major problem. But you see, a lot of times when situations like this come up, we begin to ask questions as regards the motive behind it. Of course, it looks like the president is concerned about the plight of the average Nigerian, and his intent is to try to cushion the effect. But the question that a lot of us often ask is, why do we seem to have a reactionary approach to issues rather than being proactive? Okay, the issue of the conversion has been a major talking point up until this moment, and now that the situation has gotten to a head, it seems like we are now, it's like there's fire on the mountain, and we're just running helter-skelter trying to fix the problem. Well, from what I read this morning, it's supposed to be a one or 2 weeks scheme.
Right.
And we're hoping that that's enough time to do all of this. And at the same time, we're talking about 100,000 kits here. Is that enough to go around? That's a question, a major question. And then, what measures are being put in place to ensure an equitable distribution of these kits across the 36 states of the Federation? Because it's one thing to come up with laudable ideas such as this, and then it is another to ensure that the right thing is done to make sure that it goes round and that nobody feels left out or feels cheated at the end of the day. So for me, it is very important that the needful is done to ensure that it's a laudable one, like I said, but it has to be executed in such a way that everybody smiles at the end of the day.
Of course, I remember when the issue regarding the CNG, the compressed natural gas, came on board and came to the front burner. I'm taking you back to May 2023 when our president said subsidy is gone, and we saw this as an alternative route. One of the major problems that still persists here in Edo State and also in some parts of the country is the availability of the station. I mean, just alone in a particular locality, you would just see one CNG petrol station stationed there, and then every single time you see a lot of long queues, a lot of persons just trying to buy the CNG. And now the federal government and the president is coming up with this as a solution. How realistic is it going to be is the big question. Well, hopefully my colleague right there in Lagos would be able to fill me in on it. Patricia Gabriels, good morning. Welcome on board. Please let me in on your thoughts on this current issue.
Good morning, Anu, and thank you for involving me in this conversation. Anyways, I heard Harry saying, how is the distribution going to be? Is 100,000 cars enough to go around in Nigeria? That's a major question in everybody's lips. I mean, is that a lasting solution to this problem? Will that solve the problem at all? Because here in Lagos, the transport fares are gone up, people are complaining. I went to work yesterday and I heard the bus conductor calling now the transport fare. You know how it is in Lagos. It was like, and it just closed from the office and people were complaining. So, they took to the decision of trekking halfway. Maybe the transportation will come down. It's a whole lot going on here in Lagos and in Nigeria at large. Like you said, it's not just in the country, Nigeria. It's almost, in the UK, they are complaining too that their fuel prices have gone up. America, I saw some videos where some people came on the streets too and were complaining, So we need a lasting solution to this. I do not honestly think the 100,000 pieces would be enough for the CNG cars. I don't think the 100,000 pieces will be enough to solve this problem. And then again, like you said, there's just one station at most times that the cars go into queue, and there's a lot of queue in such stations. I have experienced one. I was driving and I saw it. I was wondering, I said, is there a fuel scarcity problem or something? And, I drew to my attention that, that's CNG queue. So I don't know how that can help, really. I know.
Right, but away from that, let's also talk about how this would impact the cost of living. And now when I say cost of living, I'm also referring to food inflation, because here in Nigeria, we've seen how petrol and fuel gets to have this interconnectivity with everything. Once price is up, everything also skyrockets and go up. Do you think in the coming days, we're also going to be shifting our attention to talk about food inflation in Nigeria? And are we even ready for it is the big question. Patricia.
Not just in the coming days, I know it has started happening in Lagos, coupled with the fact that the Muslims are fasting. Here in Lagos, once the Muslims are fasting, some food commodities becomes very expensive. We're talking like tomato, beans, onion, all those ones that comes from the north. You begin to hear, because they're fasting, and then the prices have gone up. So adding with this transportation issue now, it has tripled. It's not doubled anymore. It has tripled. So back here in Lagos, food prices have gone up in triple.
All right, Patricia, what are we going to be getting from your end today? Please fill us in.
Okay, today we're going to stay away from the fuel crisis from here in Lagos. We're going to be talking about police sealing the ADC Mobilization Center in Calabar. And then I'm going to be looking at the crisis in ADC, how this will affect the 2027 elections. I mean, like we all know, it looks like ADC is just the opposition party that we have now. But there's also internal crisis in the ADC. And also, some people are saying the internal crises are not created by the members of the ADC. They are saying that these internal crises are created by the ruling party. You know, anytime they try to see it, there's always police intervention. We're going to be looking at all that, trying to find out if the police has the right to go there and, you know, tell them to all leave the venue. And, you know, a lot of crisis going on in ADC, and we want to actually know if it's the ruling party that is causing this crisis in ADC. I'm going to be having a guest who is going to do the discussion with me later today and try to make Nigerians understand what is actually going on in ADC.
Interesting conversation, and just to add my own 2 cents, it's not just happening only in the ADC. Interestingly, also SDP, even the PDP as well. We saw the recent saga, so it's an ongoing conversation as we get to move over to the 2027 general election. Thank you so much, Patricia. Now we will be joining Abuja, right? Abuja is set. Abuja, Charity Tanko, good morning, welcome on board, good to see you. Please fill us in on what's on your plate today.
Good morning, Anuliapo. From the Abuja Network Center, we will be looking at insecurity in the Federal Capital Territory. This Abuja is supposed to be the safest place in the country, being that the seat of government. But unfortunately, even here, residents cannot sleep with their 2 eyes closed. Just last week, about 16 persons were said to be kidnapped just around the Abuja, within the Abuja city. So we are going to be taking a look at the insecurity in the Federal Capital Territory, and we will be having security experts that will do justice to that topic.
Right, we're looking forward to that conversation and more this morning. Thank you so much, ladies. We'll join you in a bit. Well, right here in our Benin Network studio, we'll be turning our attention over to something different entirely, as we'll be looking at social media and its intrigues. Just yesterday, we saw in the news that the federal government is considering introducing age restriction on social media right here in Nigeria. Will that even work and see the light of the day with the rise in content creators? I even heard that they now have an association where they get to meet and have, you know, regulations guiding their body. So we'll look at that, and we'll also focus our attention this morning as regards the national security situation in the country. Yesterday as well, we saw the Defense Minister, Christopher Musa, calling out on the service chiefs and having an indoor closed meetings with them. We'll talk about all of this and also draw your attention to the recent incitement from one of the spokesperson in the northern part of the country. All of this and more right after this break as we get to move over to our newspaper review segment. Please stay with us.
Jubilation in the community as sons and daughters of Okada, both at home and in the diaspora, trooped out to be part of the ceremony, with various homes of the initiates agog with festivities. Friends and well-wishers of those initiated into the Elders' Council jubilated at the Ogwedion after performing all traditional rites. The elders, known as Edion, in company with their loved ones, danced to their various homes where guests and family members were entertained.
ITV, certainly the best.
The Ugewe is the final ceremony of the series of festivals. It is one of peace and lightheartedness, following the more solemn of the ritual year. Ugewe is the festival of the Ewe leaves, a symbol of good luck and joy. It is the most popular of all that heralds the dawn of a Benin New Year, New vow, newness of life and freshness of life, and a new hope for the future.
So much for staying with us. It's now time for us to look at a couple of national dailies this morning, and let's see what the papers are saying, and of course the trending headlines. We can start with the Vanguard newspaper. Okay, the Nation newspaper is up this morning, and let's see what the Nation newspaper have to say. The big story says Wike-backed PDP faction list terms for reconciliation. Subwriter says CAM fixes presidential primary for May 23rd. Makinde Turakai Group raises peace panel. Away from the saga going on the PDP, Senate clears Oyedele as minister. On page 3, details of that. IG asks court to dismiss El-Rufai's 1 billion naira suit. On page 4, well, it seems to Nigerians that the current situation going on with El-Rufai is not ending anytime soon, and it's really sad to watch all of this. Away from that, still on the front page of the Nation newspaper, House of Representatives criminalizes membership of 2 parties. You get details of this on page 8. APC senators now 84. Subwriter says 3 senators, 5 representatives dump PDP, Labour Party. On page 2. Middle East crisis. Federal government rules out petrol price control. On page 7. Assembly proposes relocation of Makoko residents to Agbowa. On page 5. Other interesting headlines this morning. Terrorist attacks, military on top of the game. Who was speaking? The Defense Minister, Christopher Musa, has that to say, interestingly from the meeting they had yesterday with the service chiefs. While Gulf oil gas producers should invest in Nigeria by Tuga. And finally, VCs face probe over alleged misuse of TED fund allocation. On page 8 still. That's all on the Nation this morning.
All right, let's now turn our attention to this day newspaper. And the bold headline right there says, as 3 more PDP senators join APC, party almost has 2/3 majority in NAS. As 3 more PDP senators join APC, party almost has 2/3 majority in NAS. That's the major headline on this day newspaper. And the writer there says, ruling party can practically alter constitution alone with 84 senators, 231 House seats. Ruling party can practically alter constitution alone with 84 senators and 231 House seats. And still on this day newspaper, PDP caucus shrinks to 14. PDP caucus shrinks to 14. And above the masthead there, despite fresh moves to resolve crisis, Wike's PDP faction fixes presidential primary May 25th. Okay, seems like in spite of the fact that the issue is unresolved, Wike's faction seems bent on going on with the primary. So despite fresh moves to resolve crisis, Wike's PDP faction fixes presidential primary May 25th. And then the writer to that says, BOT rejects appeal court sack of Ibadan Convention, postpones meetings. And still under that, open to reconciling with other factions. And that's still on this day newspaper. Okay, now above that, Tinubu, I'm a diehard Democrat. True Democrats must submit to the rule of law. And that's one you'll find on page 7. Tinubu, I'm a diehard Democrat. True Democrats must submit to the rule of law. And that will be found on page 7. And then at the top of the headline, China, Russia abstain as UN Security Council demands Iran halts attacks on Gulf states. China, Russia abstain as UN Security Council demands Iran halts attacks on Gulf states. Big question, why is Iran attacking the Gulf states? Well, I guess The reasons are best known to them. And right under that, 32 nations agree historic 400-meter barrels reserves release. And Citi Standard Chartered evacuate Dubai offices. HSBC closes Qatar branches. And that's right under the major headline there. And this other one says, Iran cannot participate in World Cup, minister says. Why can't Iran participate in World Cup? Well, I guess it has to do with the war going on with Israel. And finally, on this day newspaper, ADC calls on FG to cap petrol prices. ADC calls on FG to cap petrol prices. And that's all we've got on this day newspaper.
The Vanguard newspaper is up next, leading with the major headline that says Middle East war. Despite Dangote's price cuts, petrol is still 1,300 naira per liter. Subrighter says depot price ranges between 1,190 naira and 1,200 naira per liter. Transporters, commuters, others lament high fuel prices. We need time to achieve compliance along value chain. Who is speaking? PETROAN. Crude oil rises marginally to $92 per barrel. Straits of Hormuz closure. IEA approves release of 400 million barrels of oil by 32 nations. All of this and more on page 5 of the Vanguard this morning. Well, interestingly, on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, you see a picture there with the defense minister in the middle as regards the meeting he had with the service chiefs yesterday. Insecurity, defense minister summons service chiefs over rising attacks on page 8. Representatives amend Electoral Act, proposes 10 million naira fine, 2-year jail term for dual party membership on page 9. Well, on the Vanguard still, federal government spending on domestic debt service falls 38% to $405.3 million. Nigerian, 121 others injured as Iran hits the UAE. That's the Dubai right there in the UAE on page 6. On page 9, federal government unveils a plan to connect all Nigerian schools to internet. Beautiful. PDP crisis. Elders heed a court service. A court advice moved to reconcile feuding camps. That's the appeal court's advice. Moved to reconcile feuding camps on page 26. And I think that's all on the Vanguard newspaper this morning, but we really need to wrap up the newspaper review segment right here. Do well to pick up a copy of all of the national dailies and stay abreast with what is going on in the country and also globally. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll move over to the first leg of our conversation this morning. Please join us again.
TV, certainly the best.
For staying with us, you're on to This Morning on ITV. Now, the Minister of Defense, General Christopher Musa, summoned all the service chiefs to his office for a crucial meeting over recent attacks on different military bases in the Northeast. Those who did attend the meeting at the headquarters of the Ministry of Defense right there in Abuja includes the Chief of Defense Staff, General Olufemi Oluyede, and the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Wadil Shibibu. Others include the Chief of Air Staff, Sunday Anake, and an Air Marshal, the Chief of Naval Staff, Adi Abbas. So it was actually reported that no fewer than 3 commanding officers who were on the rank of the Lieutenant Colonel were recently killed by terrorists in Borno State. Now, apart from commanding officers who were killed, scores of soldiers also paid the supreme price, while hundreds of civilians who were abducted are still in captivity. So speaking before the meeting and before they entered a closed-door session, the defense minister revealed that they had agreed to review the strategies on how to go harder with terrorists despite military recording some casualties. Now, joining us this morning from Lagos, Nigeria is Professor Adedeji Oyenuga. He is the professor of criminology right there in Lagos State University. Thank you so much, Prof, for joining. Good morning. Welcome on board.
Good morning. Thank you very much. My pleasure to be here.
Of course. Now, what do you make out of the security situation ravaging the country, and how did we get here? Have we ever had it this bad? Interestingly, it's not just the civilians who are being attacked, killed, kidnapped, and, abducted. Right now, they've moved over to officers, men in uniform, trying to secure the lives and properties of Nigerians being killed on a daily basis. Have we ever had it this bad? Prof.
Well, I'm going to say that it is getting worse. And the situation started from a long time ago. What we have now is an escalated situation. And sometimes it gives people the impression that politicians are playing with the civilians as the pawn in this war, and of course some officers are also being used as pawns to ensure that well, really it's getting worse, and this is not the Nigeria that everybody wanted at all. It's just a situation that we have no control over. I am a lecturer in the university. Well, Lagos is a little bit safer than many other states in Nigeria, but I cannot say that Lagos is as safe as I claim, because anything can happen at any point in time. So things are no longer at ease, and I feel it's getting worse. Thank you.
Today's, because judging from what you did say from your opening statement, you said that a lot of persons are having the feeling that just maybe some of the politicians are involved in this.
Yeah, I said that. I didn't hear the first part of your question, but I can work with what I heard. See, I've said this before, I'm going to say this again. Democracy and terrorism, they are looking like twins to me. The situation that I said started almost as soon as we became democratized again. Look at Boko Haram. That particular thing started budding around 2002, 2003. And that was just 3 years after we gained independence. Sorry, after we started democracy. Now, we have not gone back to any kind of government that has always been democracy since 1999, but it's getting worse. It's getting worse. And each time we hear stories, there was a time I happened to supervise a student of National Open University who was in a prison. And then he said, "You never asked me how I got here." I said, "It's none of my business. I know that when people are in the prison, part of the rehabilitation is for some of them to go to school, and then maybe if they ever come out of the prison, it becomes useful to them." He said, "My case is different and I'm going to be out of here soon." So I was interested in the story. So he said, "Well, we were soldiers. Our commanding officers called us together and said that we know where these people are. Let us strategize and attack them overnight, give them surprise attack." They did. And as soon as they did that, the government arrested all of them for attacking the Boko Haram without notice. Imagine that. They thought they wanted to solve Nigeria's problem, but then they ended up being sentenced to prison for killing the known enemies of Nigeria. So, so sometimes I tell myself that Nigeria is a country that is very difficult to rule, one of the most difficult countries to be ruled. And it's because our diversity is getting stronger in division, not in unity.
All right, Prof. Now, what you've said so far pretty much suggests that the leaders or our leaders do not have the sincerity of purpose, to tackle the issue of insecurity. But I would like you to also examine the issue of, should I say, the rate at which our security agents are being subjected to attacks. Would you say, because it's beginning to appear as though our security agents are, overwhelmed, but they just don't know how to come out to say, you know what, we are tired, Big question, what is the defense minister going to say? Because it's not the first time he's been summoned by the president. So it's beginning to look like our security operatives are tired and overwhelmed, but they just don't have, what it takes to come out to say we're tired. What's your take on that?
If you are signed up as a soldier from Nigeria, for Nigeria, it's very difficult for you to say that it's over. As soon as you say you want to resign, you have to do a background check, do some investigations to verify if you are sincere about your retirement, if you are not going to be a menace to the society afterwards. But then, so it simply means that as soon as you sign up for the Army, Navy, or any of the security outfits, you have signed up for that. It's always part of the form. I know children whose parents refuse them, stop them from going to NDA because of that particular line of statements. So it's what they have signed up for. It's just that they are not telling us the whole truth because there is this oath that your allegiance is to your country and your commanding officer comes first. I mean, to the central commanding officer. And once you have information on intelligence, you cannot share it with the public. So they are not telling us all that they know, the sincere truth. But if you Google, check social media, you hear a lot of things that they are saying. And obviously, it is clear that they have all the information that they need. They know all the people that they need to know. But then, they cannot just act without the order to act.
Okay, Prof. Now, laying the conversation from what you did say, as they know what they are and they know who those people are. Interestingly, in a recent interview that has been online and also offline, a recent interview done with Sheikh Gumi, one of the Northern spokesperson, he has been vocal as regards banditry in Nigeria, Boko Haram, insurgency and all. And in this interview, he did state that the federal government perhaps should dialogue with them. Perhaps that's the way forward. And he also did incite the federal government by saying that the federal government is aware of these persons, these individuals involved in all of these crimes. They know their location, they know their houses. So if that is the case, just maybe, why are we still ravaging in insecurity? And do you think dialogue is even the way forward in all of this, Prof?
See, generally, when it comes to a situation like what we have right now, well, I would not say dialogue. You know, when it says dialogue, it doesn't mean that we're going to go into the jungle and begin to interact with those who have captured the people. You dialogue with people outside of those people, which means that they have some people controlling them, which means that there's a parallel government. So that tells you that some people are aggrieved. So when a government is in power and it's not their person, they begin to act. Now, this is what we're trying to say. For many years, during the regime of Jonathan, I'm not sure, we had things from Niger Delta insurgency. And all of a sudden, we're not even talking about Niger Delta insurgency anymore. How did we handle it? It's only now we're talking about Boko Haram that we have been talking about since 2003. We have Miyetti Allah, also that we have been talking about it for a long time. And then we also had at one time Lukarawa. I'm not sure I got the pronunciation, but everything coming from the northeast and northwest. Now, why? These people are being controlled by some other people. So when Gumi, for example, goes for negotiation, he doesn't go into the jungle. It's not like he goes into, what's the name of that very popular forest? One in Maiduguri and everywhere else. He doesn't go into that forest. He goes to meet some people who are dressed like me, who look very harmless like me, who are rich somewhere. And then he negotiates with them, and then they make some phone calls, and then everything will just stop, or they get back those that they have abducted. So generally, in most times, in most cases, even as criminologists, we know that, okay, these people do some shady tunes, but because you do not have the evidence to pin on them, you cannot just say that this person is a criminal. You are not in a position to say so. So if you go to negotiate with them, who are those that is visiting? Carry all of them. But then you cannot just do that because there are procedures. Have you seen those people who have been captured with him? You know, is he at the place where those people were captured at the time that they were captured? If you find any of the victims, will they say that it was one of those people that captured them? Those are the things that, these are the reasons why sometimes it is difficult for one to call a person a criminal or for one person to be apprehended. But then, hello?
Yes, Prof. If you can hear me, just to add a follow-up question to what you said, because you're saying that it's difficult to get evidence. There are no had concrete evidence to fish out these guys. But online on social media, especially on TikTok, we see some of these guys flaunting monies from their kidnap activities. We see them with arms. We see them most times with some of those persons who have been abducted, flaunting them online and even having a different narrative from what the federal government tells us. Now, are you categorically saying that it is still hard to fish out those bad guys? And why is it so difficult for the Nigerian government to, do the needful and get them apprehended and flush out those bad guys?
Okay. Now I'm going to do a little bit of digital forensic with you. Now, you see, most time when you see people on the social media flaunting guns, flaunting their monies, it means that they are connected to the internet via a particular means. Now, to track them, you need a mobile number that is active. Of course, they are connected to the internet via a mobile number. Sometimes you do not get the cooperation of the internet service providers. They will not give you the phone number. I was involved in one particular investigation involving the boy that committed suicide in the US, Evan Voigtler. We had everything. We had the IP address. We submitted it to Glo. We didn't get it till this day. We submitted since last year March. This is another March. No, last year February. We still don't have it, and simply because they chose not to give it. So do we blame the government for that? We even wrote a letter to them through NCCC. They still did not give it. So sometimes we have it's very, very complicated. Those in government may not be the main actors, but then there are some people, it's always like that. My sociology, I've been made to understand that you can have some people in government that are visible that you can blame for things. There are some other people that are not in government, but are invested in government. They're even stronger than the government. They call the shots. And they are in every country across the world.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prof. Now, here's a quick one. It is common knowledge, you'll agree with me as a criminologist, the world over, it is against, should I say, it's actually a crime to negotiate with terrorists. Okay, the Western world is very much aware of this, and this is something that everybody knows. But do you think it makes sense, what Sheikh Gumi is saying, that the federal government should engage these terrorists in dialogue? Is that something that you think would yield positive results?
You see, globally, it's a crime to negotiate with terrorists. Yeah. But then every country will have its own template. When he said the government should negotiate, he has his own reasons. And it's because he has a lot more information than any one of us. And truly, we cannot blame him because he's probably doing that because he speaks Arabic or he speaks a language that they understand. And then they have another level where they commune, and it could be on religious basis or traditional, or the fact that people speak more than one language. So generally, sometimes the world will tell you that a particular thing is wrong, but in your own climate, that might be a solution to your problem. And it's because if the same man was arrested there, I'm going to digress there. The same man was arrested one time. They left him again. Point. It simply means that some people somewhere are even more powerful than the government on this particular matter.
Oh, okay, Prof. Over time in Nigeria, we've heard the story of repentant Boko Haram. We've seen them being shown uniform, have ceremony, and integrate them into the system, into the security architecture in Nigeria. And a lot of persons, a lot of school of thought has actually raised eyebrows against it. And we've also heard cases of persons having intel, because take you to a particular scenario that happened in the Northeast. in Niger State precisely, if I'm not mistaken, when a particular situation did occur as regards abducting students. And interestingly, before that actually happened, the government of the day had the information. The DSS did inform them. They went over there, and after they left, these bad guys came and did what they did and went away. So what do you make out of having repentant Boko Haram? Does it even make any sense? Can a Boko Haram person truly repent?
You see, repentant Boko Haram is similar to a template that Nigeria used at one time. I'm not sure of the year, but it was during the regime of President Jonathan. There was amnesty, and those who were actively involved in the Niger Delta insurgency were taken to different states, Lagos, Abuja, and maybe one other state, I think Rivers State, were trained and then were given certain amount of money, and they bought a lot of things for them. They empowered them to be independent. Now, they were empowered to be privately independent, not in the security section of Nigeria. Now, maybe what we did wrong in that regard is integrating them into our security system. We probably get information from them, but they are not meant to be added to any security outfit. They were meant to be separated, empowered, and allowed to learn a trade in order for them to make a living outside of terrorism. So maybe that was where we got it wrong. But that was what was done during the time of Jonathan, and it worked. I'm not saying we do not have Niger Delta people, but then not as much as we had that time.
All right, Prof. As we tend to leave the conversation here, what is the way forward? What do you think the federal government could do and should do at this point? And the meeting that went on yesterday with the service chief, do you think it's going to even yield any positive result as to end the insecurity situation ravaging the country? Because earlier this week, we saw the president in a meeting where he was assuring Nigerians and saying, you know what, we're going to do the needful, we would not let them win. A form of encouragement, sort of. But is that the way forward? What should be done? What are those measures that should be put in place to end the banditry, end kidnapping, insecurity, and a whole lot more in Nigeria?
See, this is 2026. 1 year to the next election. Everything will begin to work. And then, because you have a reason to trust the government again, if they prefer to the solution. Maybe it's only when there are problems and the people are seeing the visible actions yielding results. That is when they will begin to trust the government again. Everybody wants to be elected in 2027, either as a person belonging to a particular party for a second time, or as a party wanting to hold on to the government in that particular state, federation, or local government. So, as for me, I believe that people, government of the day, will do better now because they want results and they still want to be in power 2027.
Of course, Nigerians are watching, and also the whole world is watching as well. Thank you so much, Professor Adedeji Oyenuga, Professor of Criminology, Lagos State University. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
It's always a pleasure.
Of course. We quickly take a short break right now, and when we return, we turn our attention over to an interesting conversation coming in from the federal government as to restrict the age on social media. Will it work or even see the light of the day? We'll find out after this break.
ITV, certainly the best.
In the evening of the initiation day, all the newly initiated Edion danced to the residents of the Odion Way and also visited some homes of the various senior elders, where Chief Elder Ogbedo Onwonse was very conspicuous, especially at the country home of Sir Chief Dr. Gabriel Osaro Igbenedion with his family on the night of the initiation. On the following morning, as part of the rite to be performed by the newly initiated Edion in Okada town, the initiates, led by Chief Elder Ogbedo Onwonse, visited the Esama of Benin, Sir Chief Dr. Gabriel Osaro Igbenedion, at his Okada country home residence to pay homage and appreciate him for all he has done in the development of the community, which has placed Okada in world map. They also thanked him for his role in the success of their ceremony. They commended the Esama of Benin as a custodian of Benin cultural heritage and for revitalizing the age-long tradition of the age-grade ceremony.
Ekoko masquerades from Ute village, whose cult is connected with Obaeware and his mother, Elere, appear on this occasion to bless the Oba. Ekoko is a ritual masquerade that dances to please the guests and the Oba.
The federal government of Nigeria has begun consultations and plans to introduce age limits for social media use as part of a broader effort to improve online safety for children. The initiative has been led by the Federal Ministry of Communications, Innovations and Digital Economy, which has launched a public survey seeking opinions from parents, teachers, young people, and of course digital experts on how best to regulate children's access to social media platforms. Now, according to the ministry, the consultation aims to develop a balanced policy framework that protects children from online dangers while still allowing them to benefit from the educational and social advantages of internet access. Now, Nigeria's Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Bosu Tijani, said the government is working to ensure that minors are better protected as internet usage continues to grow across the country. He also did note that while the internet offers opportunities for learning, creativity, and communication, it also exposes children to several risks, including cyberbullying, harmful content, online exploitation, misuse of personal data, and a whole lot more. And that is why our attention now focuses on the federal government trying to introduce age restriction to social media. Will it work? Will it not work? Is it useful or not? Is that the way to go? Well, my guest is seated here in the studio. Emmanuel Walter is a social media enthusiast and joins us live this morning in the studio. And of course, hopefully we have another guest online, Gordon's join virtually. But let's quickly kickstart with you, Emmanuel Walter. Good morning. Welcome on board.
Yeah,
All right, Emmanuel Walter, it's good to have you on board.
I'm really grateful.
Okay, now you are a social media enthusiast, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you must have noticed the new trend on social media, the tendency for people to just want to do anything for clout.
Yeah.
You know, nowadays it's not uncommon to see people, especially celebrities, you know, faking their own death. And then only for people to uncover the truth much later, or only for them to come out much later, you know, to say that, well, it was all a prank. Now, don't you think this is extreme? And don't you think, just tell me what you make of it, basically.
Yeah, actually, you know, social media has really helped us shape our society this past few years of the trend coming on social media. So, people coming out, everybody just want to up in. Most of them are chasing clouds on social media, you get. And some of them, they are there for the money. They are there for the fame, you get. So, people just coming up, faking their deaths or putting in one or two trends is actually extreme for our young generation seeing this, and the things that is coming out of it is actually extreme. And from what she said, that government putting a ban on social media, putting a restriction on social media restriction is actually a good idea. But another thing, with the system of the country, you know, most of the things that happens in this country is like pouring water on a rock.
Oh, really?
You get. Is one saying it is one thing, putting it into law is another thing.
So you think it could have a problem of implementation?
Yes. If the enforcement alone, how good is it going to stand?
Do you think it makes sense to, you know, want to restrict the age?
Yes, it actually makes sense because it helps our upcoming generations. You know, this present generation now that we are having now, they are going extreme. And you see these days, 13 years old, 12 years old, they are already on social media. They are already doing stuffs
That they ought not to do.
that they ought not to do on social media. I think we have other countries that have already implemented this into their law already. Countries like Australia and some other countries, they have started it already. So it's one step for Nigeria, you understand, to be able to control the society, you get. But now, how is it gonna stand is the question, you get.
Talking
Because
about
we know our
implementation of-
system of this country, is it going to stand is another question for the government.
Okay, so social media itself has come to stay,
Yep.
right? And what has the bad part also has the good part
part,
of
yeah.
it. So can we begin to analyze and talk about the good parts of social media and also the bad parts and bad content that you get to see online that is actually harmful to the younger generation?
Yeah, for the good part of social media, we'll add a lot of good part. Like social media now, it has given our youth a voice. You understand? There are some of our youth out there that they can't stand face to face with you and have a solid conversation with you. But on social media, behind their phone screens, they are able to do that. They are able to express their mind. You get. And also, it has also employment, empowerment for the youth. You get. Nowadays, our youth are not waiting for the leaders to provide jobs for us. You get. They get to some certain points. The next thing, they are on TikTok, they are on X, they are on other social media platforms, and before you know, they are making money, not even in naira, but in dollars, and they are okay with it.
Of course, and then there are those who will say, just to add to what you said, that social media is now the new oil well.
Yeah.
Interestingly, content creator is now a career on its own.
On its own, you get. So it's an employment for our youth, you get. And funny enough, not even our youth are upping on this. We've got elderly people that are also jumping on this trend. Everybody wants to open a blog.
Of course.
You get. Everybody wants to start a content. Everything you do, our day-to-day activities, our lifestyle activities is a content. You get. So everybody wants to be part of this show. You get. Now you talk about the disadvantage now. I heard you saying something about cyberbullying is also on social media. Like I said, there are most people that they can't stand to you face to face. You get. Now, let me say you offend someone the person can't come and meet you and challenge you. You get.
So they hide behind
the screen. Sometimes there's what they call anonymous. They go anonymous. You get. You won't be able to trace them.
By creating anonymous accounts?
Yes, by creating anonymous accounts. You won't be able to trace them. You won't be able to know who's
behind them.
Behind it. But you just keep seeing yourself. You just wake up in the morning and the next day notification just popping on your phone and you're seeing yourself. They are talking about you on social media. And funny enough now, social media platforms now, let's say the social media synergies now, whereby influencers, content creators, and the audience, they are all coming together to trend on a particular topic. You get like the VDM Kimichi show that happened some days back. You see everybody up on it. Everybody talked about it. And even after everything, some people went to create their own personal content related to it. You get. So it's part of the disadvantages. You see, cyberbullying is part of the disadvantage. You get. Now you see our kids doing things they are not supposed to do. Like the IPO trend is not supposed to be done. Or nudity is not supposed to be done. It's killing our youth.
Now, speaking about the kids, because in recent time, the term or the word Gen Z has trended for as long as I can imagine, and everybody right now is claiming Gen Z, even those who are not. I don't know if Harry, are you a Gen Z? Or perhaps you should be a Gen Z, right? You know, so everybody right now is claiming Gen Z. What are some of those unique traits that you see in Generation Z that wasn't even in the millennials? And we're also expecting Gen Beta, because information or research says that those kids who were born from last year, 2025, moving forward, are classified as Gen Beta. Would it be worse with Gen Beta?
No, I think from what I've seen with the Gen Z, you get, you know, the world is a very big place. We've got more than 2 billion people in the world, and these 2 billion people, they are the good parts, they are the good people, and they are also the bad people. From what I've seen on social media, I think social media has helped the Gen Zs. You get, because most times, not everything you learn in school, you get, but you get a lot of things. You learn a lot from social media.
Okay.
You understand? And I feel Gen Beta is going to do way more better.
You think so?
Yeah.
In the good part or in the bad part?
In the good parts.
Okay.
I believe in them so much.
Of course, they can't do better in the bad parts.
No.
All right, a quick one though. You just made mention of a few of the disadvantages of social media.
Yeah.
And I'm sure one of the disadvantages is fake news.
Yeah.
Which I pretty much think is drawing the federal government's attention to to it, which is making them propose some sort of restriction. Now, what do you make of that? What do you think the federal government can do in this regard? What measures do you think the federal government, because one thing that can actually create chaos in the society is fake news, and that's very prevalent on social media. So what measures do you think federal government can actually put in place to mitigate against, fake news?
The federal government, they have tried before.
Okay.
To coordinate the trend of fake news. They have tried their best before, but I don't think they were able to succeed. Why? Because it's still going. Now, you see the age restriction that they are planning on putting out. A lot of people, they are going to lie about their age.
Okay. Age falsification.
Age falsification. You understand? You see a 12-year telling you that it's 18 years old on social media. And the social media now, it's going to believe what the person tells you.
There's hardly any way to verify.
To verify, you understand? Now, the fake news that you're talking about now, for the government to be able to test the age restriction, is going to, the social media is like a courtroom. People jump on trend without verifying the source of that trend. You understand? Everybody want to blow overnight. Let me just use that comment. Everybody want to blow overnight. Everybody want to be famous overnight. You get now. So the federal government, they have a very long way to go concerning this social media of a thing.
So you're saying they're going to be having a hard time?
They are going to be having a very hard time. And sorry for interrupting you.
Right.
The main problem is not actually the social media.
So what is?
Is the people using the social media.
Why do you say that?
You get, because now the social media was created, you get, to help us. We've seen the advantages of social media. You get, now the social media is just going to reveal your true identity.
Okay.
You get. you open on social media, you're the one that know what you want to do with the social media. If you are going to use it for good purposes or bad purposes, you get. So now you need to be able to coordinate the society. You get. You need to draw attention. You need to give them awareness of the social media, that this is how to use the social media. These are the right ways to use social media.
Which I think is the essence of this, age restriction of a thing.
Yeah, this is just part one.
Okay.
But like I said, people, they are still going to lie
about it.
Well, I honestly feel that's the part where the federal government will come to
Yeah.
play. But let's talk about the roles of parents and teachers.
Okay.
Because you said that social media only tends to expose who you really are, and social media is not the problem. But do not forget, we have influencers and we have persons who get to be influenced by all of these trends that we see online. But in any case, what role do you think parents, teachers, guardians have to play in these excesses?
Charity, they say, begins at home.
True.
You know, get. So the way you train your child, like, it's going to reveal your true identity. It's going to reveal. Most parents these days, they're even up on trend with their kids.
Yeah, speaking about that, someone yesterday on a social media platform, I think TikTok, the guy was saying that nowadays parents actually are the ones using all of the social media handles even more, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and they're so glued, mothers. And mind you, years back, they would tell you, hey, go drop your phone and read your book. So right now, we're seeing a reverse.
Relating to that, I think I have someone who, she has a baby, but 20 hours of her day is on social media. She hardly cares about her baby.
So that's the negative angle to it.
That's a negative angle of social media. Now, age restriction should not be enough. We need, like, if it's possible for the government to make a deal with, I think in US they banned TikTok. TikTok was banned sometime.
At some point, yes.
At some point in US.
But then it came back.
And it came back. Now, if it's possible for them to control the algorithms of the social medias, what it shows you, you get. Because from what I've observed on social media, I think it pushes fake news faster than the original news.
Now, if you're talking about the algorithms, right?
Yeah.
I think that function is strictly that of the social media community.
Yeah.
For example, Facebook, right?
Yeah.
The Facebook community has the sole responsibility, to determine what the algorithm is going to look like.
Yeah.
So what do you think, how do you think that concerns the federal government?
The federal government should make an agreement with the Facebook
Okay.
community, with the social media community.
Okay.
Yeah, you understand? So that, okay, this is the region now. I think there's, when you are opening an account with them, they'll ask you your region.
Okay.
You get, if you are from Nigeria or if you are from Canada or Kenya, you understand? Now, okay, they know that this person is from Nigeria. This is the type of content they are supposed to be showing this person.
Okay. Or putting out.
Or putting out for the For You page on this person. So that is another step. Age restriction, one step. Making agreements with the social media community, another step.
All right.
You get. Now, the kids and parents trend on social media is still, the parents have a lot of work to do on themselves, not on the kids. Okay. Because if they are able to coordinate themselves, they will be able to coordinate the kids. And now the kids, they learn from the parents. What they see you do is what they want to do because they feel it's right. You are doing it. My mom does it, so it's okay. You get. So the parents, they have a lot of work. They should work on themselves first. It's just like, let me use this parable that they do tell me when I was younger. Like, you have sawdust in your eye, and you're trying to remove sand from someone else's eye.
Which is akin to the biblical injunction that says remove the log in your eyes so you can see the speck in
someone's eye. So you need to remove your own faults. You need to cleanse yourself before thinking of cleansing somebody else.
All right, let's quickly talk about the algorithm, still on that, okay?
Right.
The way it works,
okay,
from what we've noticed is the more of a particular kind of content that you consume,
the
more of such content that
social
media brings to your notice. So, do you think that could change?
It could change, for sure. It could change. Once the federal government and the social media community, they come in an agreement.
Okay.
You get
The community could change it.
Could change. There's a way that I know there's a way they could regulate it.
Okay.
Okay,
They
well,
can regulate it.
as we tend to leave the conversation here, because it's always an unending one, because this conversation, interestingly, the federal government is seeking out opinions and views, so that's why we're having it, right? What do you think is the actual age for a young person, a Gen Z, to get involved on social media? Because that's another conversation entirely. So for you, what is that right age or that rightful age to be part of social media community?
You can, the right age, any age.
What do you mean by
For sure.
any age?
You would. Hold on, let me
Okay.
explain.
Okay.
That's fact. A 13 years old, in most cases, is smarter than an 18 years old. You get.
So you are saying that it's not a function of age, but a function of, mental development?
Yes. mental
How will the federal
development.
government be able to detect that?
That's what the real problem is.
That's what the real problem is. Thank you, Mr. Harry.
Okay, so that means it's not a
I'm
thing.
not trying to let you move.
so that means it's not a thing of age
if I'm to
then.
be questioned, like
Right.
you just question me, I think I'll put 20
20.
in the box.
How old is this guy? What's his name that's currently doing the tour? That doesn't have, yes, Pella. How old
Pella
is
was
he?
in Benin, or is he still in Benin?
I think he has
He's-
left
he's
already.
left
He's now in
already.
Abuja.
Yeah.
How old is he when he started making money off social media?
I think it was 18 or 17.
18. So you think 20 is the right one?
20 should be there because 18, even the 20 said they'll still make mistakes. 22 will still make mistakes. 25, okay, if you are saying age now, a particular age, King Michi is above 25. But she still did some errors on social
That
media.
an 18-year-old
Very,
probably
very
will
dark
still
mind.
You understand? You understand?
Yeah.
She still makes some errors that
Okay.
18-year-old. So now, you, even if you ever put 35,
So we've seen a
35
lot
is
of
way
adults,
old
a lot
though.
of adults who did, yeah.
so
Okay, well, it's
avoid this in your courts now.
It's an unending one. Well, at the end of the day, it's left for the federal government to decide and a whole lot of other community stakeholders to come together to pick out the right age. If this would even see the light of the day, because, hey, this is Nigeria. But I really must thank you so much, Emmanuel Waters, social media enthusiast, for coming and gracing our studio this morning. That's our bit right here this morning in Edo State, Nigeria. We'll quickly take you down to Abuja, where Charity Tanko is on to take it away.
go ask Tolu for bed.
Feeling the willingness, the corruption in the system.
Do we still have corruption in the system? Because the last time the president said there's no corruption.
Who said there's no corruption?
President.
Okay. Well?
Said that it has been dealt with.
But that was refuted by Bwala not too long ago, that the president didn't say exactly that. You laugh. He said so. When he was confronted with that question, he said, no, that's not what the president said.
He said you were quoted out of context.
so I don't want to quote the president out of context.
Okay, so was that what you mean when you said that insecurity is something that we have decided not to deal with?
Yeah. Because if you will agree with...
And when we talk about corruption, is it a lack of appropriation of funds or the inability to implement what is being appropriated?
All of the above. And more. Government, you see, there's so much that we are not being told. And that is exactly where I have my worry. So much that we are not being told. You can see, just last week now, government changed the Minister of State for Finance.
Yes.
Why? Because the Minister of State for Finance was invited to the National Assembly to come and tell them certain things about budgetary allocations and fund release. And she could not. Because it is, if I say I've given you 10 naira, and I only gave you 2 naira, there's no way you can manufacture the balance to say yes, it is. So the Minister of State just couldn't defend that reality. And because she could not, she became an embarrassment to the government, and they have to ask her to, excuse them. So for me, there's so much.
The tax expert has been brought in.
Well, he's an accountant, so whether it's a tax expert,
that's what they call him.
Let's okay, but he's not coming to do a tax job. Like I just told you now, the former Minister of State, her job was to oversee some of these releases and so on. So how does tax expertization comes into that? So anyway, that's government's business. It's of our concern. Our concern is that money are allocated in the budgetary act for certain purposes. The money that is released, actual release for that activity, is another subject. And to that extent, those who are in charge, for whatever reason, keep quiet and try to manage. And in the process of managing, inefficiency sets in. That's why I say all of the above. Because if I say give me money to buy 1 million bullets, and you give me money to buy 200,000, and I have to spread it across all the formations, especially in those areas where we have high threat, and even the 200 does not go around, there's no way we can make it up. This is our challenge. So I know the people in charge will not come on air and start telling us that. Otherwise, they have become insubordinate. So for me, I think government decided to from this insecurity and say, well, either way, we will cope with it. And we are coping with it. And that is where I challenge the assertion that, kidnapping is not happening in the city. There's one UN report that says that 60% of the kidnapping in Nigeria is unreported. So when it happened, there are some people who have all what it takes. You remember the Evans case of a particular individual, whose daughter was picked. And when they called him to say, your daughter is with us, we want you to $1 million. I said, bring her to my gate, I'll give you $10 million. And the kidnappers quietly brought her to the father's gate, collect their money. So there is a lot of incidences that are not being reported. So it is not just the satellite towns. It is happening across the FCT. And those who have what it takes simply pay the bandits or simply settle the kidnapper. And in fact, the kidnappers become their friends.
Let's talk about manpower. There's this practice of when somebody is being promoted. Recently, the former Inspector General of Police took a bow, and then the present IGP was promoted. And because of that, over about 29 police officers have to go. And we're still talking about manpower. We do not have enough security agents. Now, is this not something to worry about? Is it a practice that, is it a global best practice for this to be happening?
It is not.
Because it is not just in the police, even in the army we see that. It's happening.
It is not the best practice. It's not global best practice.
So for a country that is struggling with insecurity, should this be happening?
It shouldn't, but it has become a tradition. It is now a norm. I don't know when we got to this point, but from what I know in the past, security service generally was a professional calling, and the professional do the job professionally to the extent that they go when they are ready to go, or when they can no longer function. I'll give you one quick example. There are some services, some arms of security services. Even when they say you are retired on paper, you are not a go.
Wow.
Because the system has...
In this country?
Globally, I mean. Okay. I don't know if it is still being practiced. It's a long time I left that sector. I retired in 91. So 91 to this time is a long time. So I don't know what is going on. Before then, since trained armor, you know what? Yeah. Somebody who sat, who the system that I left, the armorer does not retire. Why? Because the skill that he has been given is dangerous to the civil society. If you allow him to go and practice that skill in the civil society, there will be a problem.
Yeah, even to turn it into a business.
Into a business. He becomes a danger to the society. So even when you retire such people, you keep him around, so as to be, to continually be useful to the system and not be available to the negative side. Same thing with like those who are into intelligence services. They've known so much, they've seen so much, there's a lot of government secret, there's a lot of criminal secret in there. When you retire them, you keep them within purview. I don't know if they still do that. What I'm trying to say in essence is that this thing is supposed to be a calling. And you see, one pain that I have is these individuals are being sent out at the peak of their functionality.
Yeah, exactly.
When they are supposed to be most useful. That's when they are asked to leave. And the son is who is losing. The Nigerian state is losing. I, for instance, when I retired, my office was locked up for 2 years. Why? Because there was no immediate replacement to do what I was doing. This was not even in the military, it was in the civil. So, what I'm trying to say in essence is that if people send campaigns, they acquire knowledge, they acquire experience. And pick of it when they are supposed to be most is hiring a medical doctor when he eventually becomes a surgeon. You know? And he said, go, you are retired. Or for whatever reason. I know that in some climes, when you the criminals are always ahead of the game. Because for instance, I will not be surprised, the present IGP himself, there's no guarantee that he will stay too long.
He is supposed to retire next few months.
And that is a seasoned, a CID, professional. He has a serious CID background. He can crack and coming from where he's coming from. He has cracked so many very, criminal incidences in his career that I know in Lagos and even here in Abuja. But here he is now, he is an IGP now. And before you know it now, you show him the way out.
So that means we should be expecting positive results in terms of curbing insecurity. Internal.
Again, it's a different ballgame. Different ballgame in the sense that he has moved into a political saddle. As far as I'm concerned, IGP is a political saddle, just like you move Musa to minister. It's a political office. That's why you heard in the Senate president telling him to go and put up the political cap. It's a different thing. Whereas, as a professional, from what we used to know in the past, there is like you calling a builder to build a house for you. How much will you need to build this house? Or why do you have quantity surveyors? They calculate everything that you need to put up this building. And they tell you this is what you need. Professionals are supposed to be so. Are you telling me now that if, for instance, the FCT Commissioner of Police is called to a round table now and say, tell me what you need to crack and make sure that in the early days of Abuja, we used to have a commissioner of police who promised armed robbers, because then armed robbers were terrorizing Abuja. Not kidnappers now, armed robbers. They will come, tear down the door and kill the individual or collect money. A police commissioner was armed robbers, your days are over. And that was the end of armed robbery in this city. Why? Because those who were in saddle were able to sit down with him and say, well, tell me what you need. So I need A, B, C, D, E. And it is provided. Men, material, and wherewithal.
All right, sir, we have limited time. So what's the way forward? How can we move forward practically from all of this?
Well, from what we have seen that there's a deficiency somewhere. So my opinion or my suggestion would be that government should please be kind enough to allow citizens have what it takes to defend themselves.
Wow.
Yes.
Do you think Nigeria is ready for that?
Oh, there is no country that is ready for it. Nobody has ever been ready for it. When you need to defend yourself, you defend. See, let me tell you something that I keep saying that people don't listen to. There are more arms and ammunition in the army barracks and police barracks. True or false? Arms and ammunition. Everybody in the army barracks is supposed to be a soldier who carry gun, isn't it? Yes. Police, the same thing. But how many times do you hear of shooting and killing there? You rarely hear it. It doesn't happen. Why?
Because they are trained.
Yes. Why can't we be trained too? Why can't we, the civilians, be trained too? What does it take to train us? How many days or weeks does it take to train us? There should be, see, if you have a gun, I have a gun. The other man have a gun, the other man have a gun. Before one idiot will come out from the bush and come to your house to come and attack you, he will think twice. Because he knows that the person is coming to see. He is not going to throw his hands in the air. So it is a protection strategy. You have it, I have it, we keep it. Let me give you this final one. When I was in the school, as an undergraduate, there was a lot of problem with cultism. And as one of the student union official, I advise the school authority, don't send away cultists. Allow us to deal with it. How did we deal with it? We started preaching that everybody should go and join cult. Yes, I was in the CU. We preached to students, go and join cults. Join them.
Did it work?
If it did, you are there and there, everybody is there, it's no more a cult. It becomes a social club, we turn it to a club. Because everybody is there. So you can't cheat me, I can't cheat you, we all know ourselves.
Well, thank you very much. It's been wonderful having you here once again.
Thank you.
Well, we've been talking to security experts, Dr. Peter Adomi, on how to curb insecurity in Nigeria, especially in the FCT. FCT being the seat of power should be a place where people should go to sleep with their two eyes closed, but reverse is the case. Well, he has said his piece, and also Nigerians, please be security conscious. Anywhere you find yourself, like the governor will tell us, or security agencies will tell us, when you see something, you see something. You hear something, you see something. Thank you once again for being part of the program. From here onward, I will be handing over to our Lagos Network Center for the continuation of the program. Thank you.
The man went out to bring in thugs to come and beat her.
Yeah.
In a situation like that, do you think women would have seen that and still want to speak?
Really, we're talking about. That's what I said. So when they bullied her, now, if she's not bold enough, she will shut up.
What is your advice for girls out there that are so desperate to be married?
We women, we have to be really intentional about our parenting.
If you know a child is being abused, or you see signs, a bruise or a child, it has to be investigated.
People barely even breathe when they are going for a shrebi and something.
Party.
You have to be
They
smart.
can't sit
If
down.
you see where they are dressing them up or dragging on both sides, you cannot breathe. And these women will stay in those events for hours just to keep up with that beauty trend.
Is that healthy?
That's not healthy.
I am Patricia Uremu Gabriels, and we're reaching you live from our Lagos Network studio. Of course. Hi, good morning and welcome to the continuation of TMI from our Lagos Network studio. I am Patricia Uremu Gabriels. It's a beautiful Thursday morning where we'll be discussing, as usual, things happening in Nigeria. I mean, the elections are coming closer and different activities are going on, especially with our political parties and our politicians at large. Anyways, this morning we'll be looking at the sealing of the ADC mobilization venue in Calabar, what the crisis in ADC and the effect on the 2027 elections. Do we also have crises in our opposition party? That's what we're going to be looking at this morning from our Lagos Center. And to do this with me, I have Dr. Sam Wasinda. Dr. Sam Wasinda is a political analyst. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
It's good to have you. I hope the cost of fuel wasn't too bad for you too.
Well, gradually, you know, if you've lived here, you will know that it's one of these things that comes from time to time. But this time around, I think the biting is very, very hard.
The biting is hard.
Very, very hard.
A lot of Nigerians are complaining. But anyways, before we'll look at today's topic, let me read through a little bit of what is going on in Rivers State. The police authorities in Cross River State have sealed off a venue in Calabar where members of the opposition party, ADC, were scheduled to hold membership mobilization and registration exercises. And some members of the party have expressed concern, describing it as interference in their political activities and has called for the respect of democratic rights and freedom. Let's go straight to today's discussion. Let me start by asking what exactly happened in Calabar regarding the sealing of the ADC mobilization venue by the police.
Okay, you see, if you are actually following what actually is happening on the political scene in Calabar, Cross River State to be precise, you'll realize that sometime late last year, that's 2025, to the early part of 2026, there was this fractional crisis that emerged within the party. You know, and this was something that started small, but eventually, and the whole idea was the gain of who will want to have control over the structure of the party, which is the ADC, which from all indication was actually going to, it's already appearing like the third force that was going to emerge in the Cross River, you know, political scene after APC and PDP. You know, so, but when this fraction thing actually came, that was what actually necessitated them, and it has gotten to that point where it is now. And how the police actually were even coming, and then the idea of the sealing came on board was because the both factions at some point were actually writing the police. And so one of the factions particularly was like, if the Congress was going to hold, and that there is going to be, you know, there could be breakdown of law and order. So they actually wrote the police and wanted the police to actually come in. And that was what resulted to the police coming. And, you know, from what the information so far was that the Congress was supposed to start at about 10, but this sealing started much earlier before that because tension was already mounting. But don't forget that it was a fraction that actually wrote the police.
Oh, okay, the fracture, one of the fracture in the ADC actually wrote to the police, like you said. But from a legal point, I know that you're not a lawyer, but from a legal standpoint, does the police have the authority to steal the party's mobilization venue?
No, I don't think so. But for me, I just see all this as a strategy, just to, you know, frustrate the concept of the approach of this party. If you ask me, in my own point of view, police legally, they do not that. Of course, their own is to maintain laws and order. So for me, sealing the party mobilization venue, I don't see it as the right approach that's supposed to be given to this particular issue. They were just supposed to be there to ensure that the law and order is maintained. But sealing the venue is a different ballgame altogether. For me, I see it as frustrating, you know, the aim and objective of the party for that today.
Okay, so we know that ADC, it's like the major opposition party for us right now in Nigeria. And then there's been a lot of cries from ADC that this is intimidation. It's called, they call it political intimidation. Do you believe there's the merit to this, their claim, that is political intimidation?
Well, if you see how the political narrative is going so far, it's not far-fetched because you could see that the current incumbent government will do anything from the way they make their approaches, the way they do their things. You will know that these people are ready to clamp down on any opposition that they feel will serve as a threat. And ADT has emerged truly as a threat, because when you see the kind of political weight, heavy weight that are actually moving or actually in the party currently now, you will know that definitely they are the only strong opposition force to the current, incumbent government that is in place now. So what we are seeing is not new, is not strange. It's one of the things that we should expect that it should happen. The only thing is that I just hope that ADC National and the executive as a whole will be able to know how to manage. But I think, and I expect them to have seen this coming, because the current government will not allow it to slide. Because if there's anything they are fighting for, is to see if they can succeed to have one party, system. So
but is this okay for us as a nation?
No, it's not okay. It's not okay in the sense that what makes it, reasonable and effective and impactful is when you have an opposition, because that would sit you up and ensure that, you do what you are supposed to do the promises that you promise to do, because if you don't do, there's an alternative, there's an option. But that is what this current government is trying to make sure they get rid of. Anything that has to do with opposition is a no-no to them. So you could see even from the defection experiences we're having, it's actually leading to a one-party system. But they've forgotten one reality. The defection is just one man, one vote. So if you have 30 governors, you only have 30 votes. You didn't have 30 states.
No, but to their belief, they believe that the governors are going into the party with their followers.
Well, that's for me, it could sound so, but don't forget that the people, Nigeria of today, have woken up. Gone are the days where some of these things allow it to roll. People are becoming more aware, because the pain that is getting to them is not telling them that they need to be intentional, about this thing. So if the people are thinking when the governor move, the people move with them, I see that as a delusion, because the people already have the mind of their own. They have the experience. They feel the impact of the current government. The idea now is that even when the government were defecting, did they actually carry the people along? That's what you should look at. I don't think it was a conversation between them and the people. It's between them and themselves. So whatever they are doing is for their personal gain, is for their selfish purpose. It has nothing to do with the people. And so the people are trying very hard to see how they can get a life for themselves, rather than depending on these people who have not made up their mind, to reach out to them. So the current, it looks like it's working, because it looks like there's a defection every day. Somebody is moving from here to here. But don't forget, it's not about that. Once upon a time in this same nation, during the Goodluck Jonathan as a president, he was defeated. And we had a lot of PDP then, both in state and whatever, but the current party knocked them off. So it's not a matter of having the number of people in your party. It's the number of the people now aware of what they want.
Okay, but a lot of people will want to take you up on the PDP and Jonathan time. A lot of people will want to take you up on that, saying that the present president, the present ruling party, has a different style of politicking than Goodluck Jonathan.
Well, that is what it seems before now. But now that he came on board, it is clear that he has nothing to offer, to the best of my ability. Because, again, I have gone through and watched through his political campaign from the onset until now. It's just two common words that he was pushing. The first is his turn. That was one of the major of his manifesto. Now he has come to his turn. The second is renewal of hope. What is the hope that is being renewed today? So initially when he was out there, it looks like his strategy was the best of the strategy. But now the whole Nigerians have come to see that this man just wanted to be a president, and that is what he is. Because from the time he entered till now, it's been from one phase of pain to the other. You are removing subsidy, there is no provision, there is no alternative, and then we keep moving, and up till now, the country has been back and front. There's nothing really, that. In fact, let me say this, that as it stands now, I don't think they have anything tangible that they can put on the ground as their campaign.
That is your opinion.
That is my opinion. Okay. I can't tell that this is what exactly
that is your opinion. Okay. All right, let's move on. I'm a little bit worried about the opposition party, the ADC. With their body language, with the way the things are going, do you think they're ready for the 2027 elections?
Well, I think they are, but you see, they have a lot of distraction, which I think they need to really, really give attention to. And this is this internal, divisions that they are having. I think they need to be intentional by trying to look inward and address this matter properly, because as far as the opportunity and privilege is concerned, ADC is a very strong, formidable force because of the caliber of people, apart of in the political setting, the followers, which are majority of the young minds who are the youth, and then the obedient movement, and then new voters. I'm sure one of the reasons why most of them are even coming on board is because of the ADC, and that is their catching point. They have the youth and first-time voters. Majority of the first-time voters are actually going to queue up. But the danger is that if they are not able to resolve some of these internal crises, that will not become their challenge. So their challenge will not even be the incumbent government. It's going to be the internal division they are having currently. Okay. So that is what they need to deal with.
I was discussing with someone in Nigeria some few days ago, and we talked about the ADC having internal crises and all that. And he mentioned to me, he said, do you see that Peter Obi went to Benin to visit the former governor of Edo State and the crisis that was there, and of course, after Peter Obi left, Rotimi Amechi, the former governor of Rivers State, was there. And he mentioned to me, he said, if you notice, Yegu, the former governor, raised the hands of Rotimi Amechi and said, I'm with you all the way. But he didn't say that to Peter Obi. Do you think this is part of the crisis going on in ADC?
Yes, that's why I said that these are part. You see, when you have a house where you have too many champions, these are some of the things you expect. But the good thing is that it is also part of the democracy, because the more preferred will eventually emerge. And I think that is what they are trying to put together, so that when they get to their primaries, they will be able to decide who among them will fly. But again, it's also letting you know that among the ADCs, we have best of options. Peter Obi is a good option. Rotimi Amechi is a good option. Atiku Abubakar is a good option. So they have good front men, But I think for me, because of the dynamism of the current phase now, which is going by the call of Nigerians, not the so-called politicians, I think the most preferred to Nigeria is Peter Obi. So irrespective of who was endorsed or who was not endorsed, remember, most of this whole thing is not even about the party when it comes to Peter Obi. It's about him as a person. And you could hear the obedience say several times, wherever you move to, we move. So his own is not just about party, but it's just that the only way you can come into power in Nigeria is through a party. If it is just an individual, being an influence and that, Peter Obi would have just had almost like a win ticket, because he already had people who are actually following. But he needed a party, to drive on. So, but he had his followers already. And these followers are large in numbers.
Okay, so we just talking about the followers, the obedience. They have come up to say that if Peter Obi is not given the ticket, they will withdraw their support for whoever the ticket is given to. Won't that be a major problem for the ADC?
Again, that's also a major problem, because the tickets, from the way their party is structured, is not going to be endorsement. They have to go through primaries, and then whoever emerge. So I think the earlier Peter Obi possibly had to address his followers or educate his followers, the better for them, because the whole idea is about, we just need to change the government, or the government of today needs to be contested on the platform of election. And if they continue in this manner, it's a minus to them, whether they like it or not. Because don't forget that even the incumbents still have their followers.
Yeah.
So they are not just the only people who are in the election, system. So they must understand it to that extent, that the idea of, if they don't give him the ticket, they are not going to support ADC, and then wherever he goes, they move. I don't think that would be the best, for this political party. So these are part of the things I think ADC needs to really sit down, to address. But again, I know we have some of their fears, and you cannot rule that out. And that's because some of the people are part of Peter Obi had at one point or the other served at the federal level. So they know some of their antecedents and some of the way they handle things. I think those are their fears. So they just wanted to try something new. So even if this man is bad, let's see how bad he is. I think that's just the whole idea, why they are pushing, that narrative that if they don't give him ticket, they are not going to support it. They just wanted something new. I think that's what it's all about.
They want something new. Nigerians want something new, and they're trying to get that from the ADC party, and we're hoping ADC is able to put themselves together on time, because we have just 10 to 11 months for the elections to come on. Okay, how should institutions like INEC or civil society respond to incidents that raises concern about political freedom? Just like in the Cross River State, the Calabar, they are crying that they are intimidated, so how do you think INEC should treat such cases?
Well, I am still a bit worried, and I'm still trying to understand the body language of INEC as far as I'm concerned. And that's my opinion anyway, because I've not really seen them coming out the way they should, because if they are, some of these issues we're having would have long been managed. It wouldn't have gotten to this extent. But I feel like the more crisis that is permitted, to escalate, the better advantage for the ruling party. And don't forget that appointment, a lot of things is already wrong. And these are some of the things I hope that in the nearest future it will be corrected. Because even the current INEC chairman, don't forget how he emerged. Is still from the ruling party, sort of. So you will not, or even if they call it independent, it may not actually be independent in such a way, because I want to believe that if this crisis was actually in the ADC, because you can't still rule the fact that ADC does not even have their own internal data, but they are able to manage it sort of, not because they are in power, but they have a way they go about, their thing. So INEC should, I think, put their foot more on the ground and ensure that this independent, as said, should be given to each political party so that they will be able to have the powers to manage some of their, crises without being interfered by some of these agencies that comes from time to time and disturb. Because, you see, that ceiling alone is a big minus, to the party.
Exactly. Plus what happened in Benin in Edo State, with the shooting and all that.
Yes, so these are big minus, to ADC. And for me, these are further strategy to weaken and to frustrate, the party effort in trying to reach out to people who would have trusted in them. And you see, the danger is that if this persists, they may likely start losing people. Because
I was going to come to that. Would you say this situation would discourage political participation or mobilization efforts by opposition parties?
Yeah, very, very possible. But that's because when the focus is distracted, with time, they will now be dealing with more of internal crisis rather than reaching out to people. And then the people out there are seeing what is going on. And you just ask yourself, is it where I really need to stay? Especially those who have some visions and a platform where they can actually stand in for their people. I think they would rather prefer to opt out of the party and go for either PDP, that's in case of Rivers State, or APC. And
but the PDP is having crisis. We do not even know where they belong to as at now.
Yes, but again, they are still a force when it comes to Cross River State to an extent. It's not as bad as other parts of the nation, because Cross River is more or less like a PDP state, even though the APC is actually the one there. So they still have that option, because they have the hope that something can still happen, And if you see like the FCT minister's position and fracture, it's not actually against governor's level. It's just after the presidential. Okay, you can have whatever you want to have, but if it is for the president, let's not just...
It's a no-go area.
So that gives them hope that something can actually also be done, in Cross River. So that's why I said, if this crisis continue in ADC, most likely some people may see PDP as an option, and they can also see the ruling party as also that option. So they may definitely start losing our people if they don't address this on time.
I'm going to ask you a private question as concerned the crisis in ADC. Some people say a mole was planted in PDP, in quotes, I don't know. So do you think a mole has also been planted in ADC to bring confusion in the party so that it can stand as one?
Well, in my own opinion, it may not actually be him, because you see, when it comes to strategy sometimes, you can put actually a face somewhere, and the people actually doing the havoc are the silent ones. So he may not actually be planted as people are seeing it, but it's just there, and so that some certain activities actually can be happening. In my own opinion, I don't think he may actually even be the distracting focus or force that is in that organization. But certainly, you should expect that people will definitely come in to infiltrate the system and see how they can, get it messed up. So it could just be like people are concentrating on him while the main havoc is going on. So for me, ADC should really, really take our time to look inward because there could be more to what the eyes could see.
Okay, in the upcoming election in a few months' time, in your view, should security agencies remain completely neutral during the political mobilization activities? Because very soon, activities will start coming up. We've seen vans, of renewed hope running around in Lagos. So activities are being, putting together for, campaigns to start. Do you think that they should stay away from political mobilization activities?
That would have been the best. But again, you could see that we are still trying to be matured when it comes to handling some, things when it comes to politics. And the best was for them to have completely stay away. But I would not advise that because when the political campaign will start in earnest, you could still see pockets of attacks here and there when they start going out for campaign. So when you withdraw the police presence or the security aids presence.
Let me come in here, Dr. Sam.
Yes, please.
We witnessed the elections, local government elections in FCT, and we saw the police standing by when the attackers came to, take the ballot boxes and all that. In fact, the policewoman that I heard speak on the national TV was confused, and she was like, where did they come from? Who are they? So they really couldn't do anything. So at this point, do you think they're needed?
Well, you see, when you talk about the local government election in FCT, it's a different political play that took place actually there. And so a lot of things would have necessitated and allowed things to go the way they were. And of course, if you follow that election properly, you could see that the FCT minister, even he's going around alone, it was not actually called for. Don't forget, it's just the FCT minister. It's not a vote in that FCT, but you could see him moving around, you could see him talking, even having handshake with some certain kind of people. So you should expect in such a time when things like that could happen, particularly the security agency that were on ground, they don't actually know where these people are coming from. And so you are also careful so that you don't step on toes, even though you are supposed to be a law enforcement agency. But you don't know the orders because, like I said, the system that actually runs this country is really need to be overhauled because a lot of things are not happening the way they should. So that could also be a factor. So when you put that, FCT election is a different ballgame.
So but are we expecting more of this in the 2027
yes,
elections?
if proper measure is not taken, particularly from INEC giving some strong, ground for some certain things to take place, we will expect more of this because, like I said, the current ruling party, because they are after getting people and winning election at all costs, so you should expect anything can actually happen.
But is this healthy for the democracy of this nation?
There was never a time that it was healthy. It's just like the country is just hostage because people are trying to now do the right thing, but in doing the right thing, you are faced with several oppositions. And that's why I said, just like the independent, INEC, that as they are called, it's better for that independent to be, effective, to be put in place so that people can trust whatever they are putting in place. Otherwise, we're going to expect more of this. But like I said, Nigeria have become wiser. So there's definitely going to be a resistance. There's definitely going to be a pushback, especially from members of the opposition party. So it's going to, this FCT had given Nigerians, especially the members of the opposition party, to see that this is most likely what we are going to experience. And I want to believe that they are already putting some things also in check to ensure that they could have it, but maybe not to the extent that they have it in FCT. So it's not healthy for the system, it's not healthy for Nigeria, it's not healthy for our democracy, but this is one of the reality that we may be faced with in 2027.
Well, then a lot of Nigerians, or some Nigerians, let me say some Nigerians, are worried about the rigging of the elections come 2027 because of what played out in FCT. Do you think elections will be hugely rigged in 2027?
As far as I'm concerned, except the opposition party are able to put themselves together and press harder, election is already rigged. How do I mean? From what happened in the house in Abuja, that is rigging. The people said this is what they want. So what you pass is not what the people want. That's what rigging is all about. You're giving the people what they did not bargain for. What they want is transmission of result. You give transmission, and then whereby with a clause. That is not the people request. So that for me is rigging. What else do you call rigging? That is rigging. So the election has already been rigged. So if we're talking about whether we should be consigned, we are already consigned because what happened in the house is pure rigging. Because you see, if the ruling party, I come back to say this, with the 30 governors and probably more that may likely defect and be part of what they are doing, are going to join them, why are they afraid of free and fair election? If you are sure that these people, you've gotten them, you should be the one to champion the cause of free and fair because you are sure that you have at least 30 governors on your side.
It's the same question that is in the lips of most Nigerians. Why are they afraid? I've heard Nigerians ask such questions. But let's move on. Looking ahead to 2027, what impact could incidents like this have on the credibility of electoral process?
Well, when you talk about the impact, is that it will further make Nigeria not to trust the process. Because the way things are, like I said, if not for ADC, I'm sure that 2027 would have been like a walkover for the ruling party. Because everything had been put in place for them to just like continue the government. So if things continue like this and this hope that is trying to rebuild after 2023 election, if it goes the same way, I'm afraid democracy is dead in Nigeria. Democracy is dead in Nigeria. That's my fear, and that's the fear of many Nigerians. Because there's nothing like democracy in the way things are going currently.
It's a fear. It's a huge fear for Nigerians, and I hope we don't get to that level, Dr. Sam. You know,
hopefully.
My voice just went down. You know, when you said democracy will be dead. You know, so hopefully we don't get to that level.
Hopefully,
you know, because that won't be good for a nation like Nigeria. Well, let's move on. Do you think this development could strengthen the AC narrative or political sympathy amongst voters? Do you think the voters will begin to sympathize with them, that they're being intimidated and, you know, decides to vote for them?
That is sympathize with the ruling party
no.
or ADC?
Yes.
You see, the ADC party does not necessarily need sympathizers. Like I said in the beginning of our conversation, Nigeria just want to test something new, even if it is bad.
But that's what we did during the Buhari regime. They just wanted to get Jonathan out of the way and test something new and see where we are today.
Yes, that move we made, it has brought us here. But you see, the dynamic about this democracy in Nigeria is good. You have 4 years to still rethink if you want to retain what you went for or you want to change what you want to go for. And for me, even if we have to keep recycling every 4 years until we get what we are looking for, I think it's best for rather
But
than
in
just
Africa, when they come into power, they don't want to leave. We just talked about the rigging. We just talked about the fear for the forthcoming elections. So how do you think you want to recycle in 4 years?
Yes, because like I said, more Nigerians are more and more aware now. I spoke with my mom in the village. My mom is in the village. She's in her 80s. And she told me, 2027, I want to vote.
Is it first time voter?
She's a first time. She said, I am going to vote in 2027. I said, why? He said, because even in the village, she's struggling to survive. So that should tell you that the impact had gotten to even the least in the society. So they're beginning to see the reason why. Let's keep trying until we get what you want.
Until we get
so
it
if
right.
my mom, for the first time in her life, in her 80s, is telling me she's still alive for 2027, she's going to vote, it shows that something is happening in Nigeria that the whole world needs to know. So Nigerians are gradually waking up and see that this sit back to say, let them do their thing, is no longer working, that they also have an impact and input to make when it comes to governance.
She will be alive and she will vote.
Amen.
Okay, so finally, in 1 second, what reforms or safeguards would you recommend to prevent similar controversies ahead of the future elections? 1 second, our time is almost up.
Well, for me, I feel like I said, the opposition should keep their best and ensure they resolve issues that is necessary. They should come to compromise, stay focused, and give us that oppositions that Nigerians wants to see when it comes to 2027 election.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sam Wasinda. We hope to have you next week for a continuation of this topic, because it's a topic that is broad. So we need to try to get to how we can get it right in Nigeria. Thank you for coming. And to our viewers out there, thank you for joining us this evening. I am Patricia Remo Gabriels.
A lovely morning to you, and thanks a lot for joining us on ITV News for this time. I am Harry Igboje. Fresh details have emerged at the reported kidnapping incident at the Egbira camp axis of Auchi in Isako East local government area, where 3 girls were abducted. A man whose name is being withheld, who reportedly went to deliver ransom to secure their release, was later found dead with his lifeless body discovered on a motorcycle. Edo North Bureau Chief McDonald Irunokai, who visited the area, has details.
A visit to the residence of the deceased ransom bearer at Old Market Road, Jatu Zaru, revealed a sombering atmosphere as sympathizers continued to visit the family to console the wife and relative of the victim. Neighbors were seen going about their daily activities quietly, while friends and relatives gathered to mourn the tragic incident. One of the sympathizers, who identified herself as a sister to the wife of the deceased, said the man had volunteered to deliver the ransom demanded by the kidnappers for the release of the 3 girls abducted at the Egbira camp axis along Igara Road in Auchi.
Gometi imilemati rek pamo bonemona ni male. Ananogede save on the community na. Why mo ire yime kwena. Akere valero radu. Obuye kware degwe kwena.
Meanwhile, reacting to claim that the victim was a member of Uzari Bilatek group under the Edo State Security Corps, the Sector 1 Commandant, Mr. Yusuf Agbobware, who spoke off cameras, denied the allegation, stating that the deceased was not a member of his squad. He said security operative later traced the location where the lifeless body of the alleged ransom bearer was discovered. The Edo State Command is yet to react to the incident in Jatu Uzaru. At the time of filing this report, the whereabouts of the 3 abducted girls remain unknown. From Jatu Uzaru in Isako West local government area of Edo North, McDonald Irunokai, ITV News.
And still on a tragic note, a 41-year-old man identified as Uwa Demige has allegedly been killed by suspected Fulani herdsmen in Iguero community of their northeast local government area of Edo State. The incident, which occurred on Tuesday evening, sparked protests by residents on Wednesday as they condemned the rising wave of insecurity in the area and called on government and security agencies for urgent intervention. Crime correspondent Jola Adeoju has more.
Residents of Iguero community and neighboring villages including Iwu, Izakabu and Ogwa have in recent months continued to face growing security challenges. Among their major concerns is the infiltration of the communities by suspects from the northern part of the country and herdsmen who, according to residents, operate under the guise of cattle grazing but are allegedly linked to cases of kidnapping and violent attacks. Community members claim that while some victims of these attacks regain their freedom, others are not as fortunate and end up losing their lives. They said the deceased, Uwa Odenwige, is a commercial bus driver who was reportedly driving into his compound on Tuesday evening when he was suddenly attacked by the suspected assailant. Sources say the victim attempted to resist and escape but was eventually shot dead. An eyewitness said she heard the victim shouting for help at about 6:35 p.m., moments before several gunshots were fired. She added that the victim ran into her backyard while trying to escape before he was shot again by attackers.
You go reach my side, they shoot on one, boom. You go inside the corner of my side. As you reach the corner, they say, "Me na help me, They just waka go where they. Yeah, they from my corner, they start me and then they give on the third bullet. I not call you a voice again."
Reacting to the incident, the Odionwere of Iguero community, Pa Aisa Gbonbuonwa in Malili, alongside other residents, appealed to the Edo State government and security agencies to urgently intervene and restore safety to the area.
I have never seen this type of incident before. These herdsmen brought their cows into the community with guns.
They have kidnapped many people while demanding huge sums of money as ransom. Just yesterday, another man was killed by these herdsmen.
It's so rampant. Every day kidnapping, every day killing. We don't need these cow rearers any longer.
Following the incident, several residents are said to have temporarily fled the community over fears of further attacks. As at the time of this report, the Edo State Police Command is yet to issue a statement regarding the killing in Iguero community. Jola Diojum, ITV News.
And the acting chairman of Ego local government area, Honorable Saro Eribo, has received the chairman of the Edo State Christian Pilgrims Welfare Board, Reverend Franklin Omobude, on a courtesy visit at the council secretariat in Uselu, Benin City. Patience Usarogiwa reports that the visit was aimed at familiarizing the council with the activities of the Edo State Christian Pilgrims Welfare Board and seeking collaboration with the local government.
Speaking during the visit, Reverend Franklin Omobude appreciated the acting chairman for the warm reception and briefed him on the programs and initiatives of the board. He emphasized the need for stronger synergy between the board and local government authorities in promoting the spiritual welfare of citizens and providing administrative support for Christian pilgrims from the state.
We have come here to inform this local government that the board will be embarking on this spiritual journey, prayers to have an interference with spiritual doctrines of Christ, so that we'll return back as agents of change to our state and to our nation generally. As we are about to do everything to ensure that one or two of your officials visit this holy site to offer prayer on behalf of your local government. This local government in your time will reign from glory to glory. Amen.
Responding, the acting chairman of Ego Local Government Council, Honorable Saro Eribo, thanked the delegation for the visit and assured them of the council's readiness to collaborate with organizations that promote the welfare and development of the people. Honorable Eribo also noted that he is familiar with the operations of the board, having previously served as a member of the Edo State Christian Pilgrims Welfare Board.
I'm part of you because I've been there. And wherever I go to Israel, there's one particular place I love visiting. That is the Wailing Wall. I normally drop my request there. What the governor needs for now is just prayer. The man has been trying, and we want the governor to try more.
He further reaffirms his commitment to supporting initiatives that align with the vision of the governor of Edo State, distinguished Senator Monday Okpewolo, in delivering the dividends of democracy to the people. From Ego Local Government Council, Patience Usaugiwa, ITV News.
And still on the AM News, some residents of Benin City have expressed mixed reactions following the groundbreaking ceremony. Some residents of Benin City have expressed mixed reactions following the groundbreaking ceremony for a new CCETC power generation project at Olobo in Obaka local government area by the Edo State government. While the government says the initiative will address persistent electricity outages, some residents are questioning the decision to abandon Osiomo Power Initiative established by the previous administration. Donald Ehimie completes the report.
Governor Modi Ukpebolo on March 9, 2026 performed the groundbreaking ceremony for our 100 megawatt CCETC Ologbo plant alongside a 300 metric tons per day liquefied natural gas processing facility in Ologbo, describing the project as a renewed effort to tackle the persistent electricity challenges confronting residents across the state. The project, when completed in 6 months, is expected to provide stable and reliable support for regional energy supply and industrial development. Development comes amidst complaints over unstable power supply from the Benin Electricity Distribution Company, which many residents say has struggled to meet the energy needs of homes and businesses in the state. Historically, Ologbo community already hosts the Osiomo Power Plant, developed during the administration of former Governor Godwin Obaseki with an initial generation capacity of about 55 megawatts, later expanded to nearly 95 megawatts, with a proposal to hit 550 megawatts in the future. However, after assuming office, Governor Ukpebolo's administration discontinued the state government's reliance on the Osiomo facility and reconnected several government establishments to the national grid through the Benin Electricity Distribution Company, which at the moment is not able to satisfy customers in electricity distribution. While some residents view the new power project as a heady development towards improving electricity supply, others were of the opinion that successive administrations should prioritize continuity by consolidating on existing projects rather than abandoning them due to political differences.
The government should sit down and think about continuation. Whatever is being done by the past administration for a community or a street or an area or a senatorial district, you can decide to have another.
Osiomo Power Plant, you like it or not, is situated in Edo State. They pay tax to Edo State government. They employ some of our Edo State indigenes. So whoever set it up does not matter. Government, unless you take it that you will continue from what you made on the ground, you won't achieve much.
Nigeria lacks continuity in governance. That is what is killing us. This government will come with this project. When he goes, it is abandoned, that money goes. Another person will come and say, I will do this farm. He do it, maybe he might not even complete it.
Commenting on the development, the Commissioner of Power in Edo State, Honorable Paul Usemba, gave an insight of other initiatives by the government to cushion the effect of epileptic power supply in the state.
Other initiatives are on their way as well. We have some Canadian companies who are interested in engaging the state. We also have some other Chinese companies who want to engage the state.
The development has continued to raise broader questions about policy consistency, long-term infrastructure planning, and the need for sustainable solutions to Edo State electricity challenges. From Benin, Donald Ehimie, ITV News.
And under similar circumstances, motorists and customers are groaning under the burden of rising price of petrol and alleged sharp practices by some marketers. The customers lament that despite the recent hike in the pump price of petrol, some filling stations still shortchange customers through under-dispensing at the pumps. Patience Saragiwa has details.
Findings by the news crew reveal that several filling stations in parts of Benin Metropolis are without petrol, forcing motorists to move from one filling station to another in search of the products. The development has created anxiety among consumers who fear that a prolonged shortage could trigger further increase in the price of petrol. Some motorists also alleged that some filling station operators are hoarding petrol purchased before the latest price adjustment by major marketers in anticipation of selling it at a higher prices. Consumers say inadequate monitoring of dispensing practices and price regulation by relevant government agencies is enabling some marketers to exploit unsuspecting motorists.
You are buying at a very high price. At the same time, the meters are not correct. I bought a fuel 1,070 naira at one filling station at Uluku. In the evening, my friend said he bought 1,250, and now some of the filling stations, they even have fuel they are not willing to sell. they say they don't have fuel. It's very, very unfortunate because no price control, no task force monitoring them. So they just sell at their own price fees.
The meter, I don't even know what they are reading. I used 30,000 to buy 4 liters. Nobody's talking. Our president is ruling this country. They are looking over it.
I used fuel almost about 68,000 from just Lagos to this place. It's very annoying, man. I'll buy fuel. Waiting, where are we going in this country? Some are selling 1,300, while some are selling 1,250, some are selling 1,300 because the price is not stable. Out of the individual marketing, they are just increasing everything.
It's fuel. They don't want to sell. Why are they keeping it? Let them sell. The meter should be correct.
They called on appropriate regulatory authorities to intensify monitoring and ensure marketers comply with approved standards in order to protect consumers. From Benin, Patience Osaugiwa, ITV News.
Traders at the popular Uchi Daily Market, located in Auchi, the headquarters of Isako West local government area, have expressed deep worries over a significant drop in patronage, attributing the situation to going Ramadan and Lent fasting season. Igbano Anthony reports from Edo North that the traders also blame the low presence of commercial vehicles, especially motorcycles, as many of the cyclists are fasted. Will be brought to you in our subsequent bulletin. And that's the size of our package on ITV AM News for this time. Many thanks for watching. I am Harry Igbo J. TMI Socials is up next. Please stay tuned.
ITV, certainly the best. ITV.
This is Aqua Game, a popular game in Africa played by our ancestors to entertain themselves after each day of farming. It is also relevant in our coronation in Africa. It is a sport and indeed very interesting, as every seed had a role in the game.
morning. This is TMI Socials. Welcome on board. I am Anuoluwakbo Stevens. Or better still call me a social media butterfly. Now, today we begin in Abuja, where President Bola Tinubu has said that he had no choice but to sign the Electoral Act, explaining that the bill was passed with overwhelming support by the National Assembly of Nigeria. Now, according to him, he chooses to respect the rule of law rather than plunge the country into political turmoil. He made a remark while addressing the All Progressive Congress APC leaders and the Inter-Party Advisory Council yesterday at the State House in Abuja. He also stated that the game of politics is sweet only when you're winning. President Tinubu 2026. Let's take a listen.
That I signed the Electoral Act, I have no choice. I don't want to throw the country into turmoil of argument of nothing. There is an overwhelming majority by the National Assembly that passed the law. If I have serious question or reservation about it, I will have raised it. But I have not. I have submitted myself to the principle of rule of law, democracy. I signed. I signed. The rest is history. We meet at the polls. The game is sweet. Only when you are winning.
Well, there you have it. The game is sweet only when you're winning. I love it. Anyway, how did you take this in line? Let's see Twitter reactions. Mr. Alfredus one on X who wrote, "Let me correct this statement. The game of politics is sweet if you have money and use it well to move your agenda. You cannot win in Nigeria's politics if you are not wealthy." Another user reacting to this wrote on X, "While victory in politics can be exhilarating, it often comes at the cost of widespread suffering under the APC's governance. What about the struggles of everyday Nigerians?" Now, finally on the story, this user wrote, "When you are winning elections for yourself or when you are winning for the people you govern in terms of basic amenities, provision for the electorate." Anyway, well, we'll move over to another interesting conversation. Remember the lady, Tracy, who one time ago dragged the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, as regards owing her a large amount of monies? Now, she has come out to clarify the air by saying that Dave Umahi never tied a rapper to meet her in a hotel room. She is apologizing to the minister for the embarrassment this allegation may have cost him and his family, according to businesswoman Tracy Ohiri. Let's take a look.
Good day, Nigerians. After proper consultation with my family, friends and legal team, and a painstaking review of events of the past weeks, I have come to the conclusion that it's important we give peace a chance. I admit that Engineer Dikin David Umahi, the former governor of the Ebonyi State and the current Minister of Works, did not inform me that what happened to the Neyland engineers would happen to me if I visit Ebonyi State. I do not know the Neyland engineers except what I read about them on the internet and what I heard from people. I apologize to Engineer Dikin David Umahi for the embarrassment this allegation may have cost him and his family. I sincerely...
Dikin, sir, please temper justice with mercy, because it's the Dikin for a lot of Nigerians online. Reacting to this, here's what this user had to say on X. We'll start off with this one who wrote, You already lost your case. Why lie at all when you actually have a serious case? You don't jeopardize it with unnecessary lies. Once one lie is exposed, the whole case looks tainted. Another user reacting to this one wrote, she was told to publicly apologize, maybe or maybe not. Anyway, we do not know that. But away from that, the FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike, has elevated all second-class chiefs to first class and third class to second class during his thank you tour of area councils following the APC's landslide victories on February 21st, 2026 in Abuja. Let's take a look at the video.
I feel so honored that I met you even during our meeting to provincial rulers. I called you for a meeting and you told me to go home that you support Mr. President. And you understand you are people. I don't think there's anything you request, but we do hate you or not. Yes. When you tell Mr. Chairman of Council to get the design for the palace of our master.
Well, reacting to this in line, a lot of social media users had this to say. We'll start off with this one on X. If we could have our first reaction, this user wrote, this move appears more about political favors than genuine governance. Such actions undermine the value of traditional leadership and reflect poorly on the APC's commitment to meritocracy. Another user reacting to this online wrote, that statement will definitely spark controversy. Promotion of traditional rulers are expected to be based on due process and institutional structures, not political loyalty. When leadership decisions appear tied to political support, it raises serious questions about fairness and governance. Well, on that note, we wrap up TMI Socials today. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. I am Anwoluwakbo Stevens. And from all of us on This Morning on ITV, Lagos, Abuja, and right here in the Delta State, we'll see you again next week, God willing.